much. I'm so happy to be here and reconnect with a lot of friends and see new faces. And so I have, you know, some poems here, and some are very new, and it goes all the way back to actually, I think, 75. I decided to go back and look at my old poems, and I pulled out a few, but I am going to go in receding order, starting with the very new and going to the old, so I can get younger and younger and younger as I read. So the first one is one of the last one that came to me. It's called My Body and Me. Not feeling well? Run to the doctor. First, try the healer, the whisperer, the puncturist, the pressurist, the herbalist, the candlestick maker, why not? And when everything fails, resort to the one who believes that to heal is to separate the pieces and suppress the symptoms. Let someone tell you what's wrong with you, but you need a nudge from the outside to show you how you have been victimized, compromised, fragilized. But I say no. The body knows. When I give up the trust in its amazing capacity to recover, I take away its power. And it gives up on me, lets me look for the cure elsewhere, outside of it, lets me start the search for a conjurer, a master, someone who knows better, who has much more power than me to create the reality of my true self. But I say no. My best doctor is my body and me. So the next is called Smoking on the Equinox, and actually I was smoking tobacco. In the silence of the forest, my smoke rises, blurring the edges, softening shapes, lines, colors, enticing the formless to remain undefined, unspoken, unnamed. There is no grounding to the vision floating by. I can load whoever wants to come on this ride with me without any heaviness. For in vision, nothing weighs anything. There is no separation. In this lightness of being, I breathe a sigh of relief. I go up in smoke. Equal night and day, days and night, equanimity is certain. I am free from comparing. Everyone, everything perfect for its own purpose. No waste, no sins, no mistakes, no more decision, no more opinion. I leave no trace on anyone or anything. I go up in smoke. Smoke is pleasure, I have been told, and pleasure is smoke. When I blow this smoke into my silence and offer it to the universes as a blessing to our deepest humanity, to my brothers and sisters, to all my relations, the otherness is gone. I dissipate with the smoke. I am all pleasure. I am smoke. The next one is also very recent, and it's called A Cup of Tea with Angel. First, there is water, crystal clear, serene, patiently waiting to reach the right temperature. Then the first bubbles tickle and trouble the water. It's a moment when I drop into the teapot my son brought all the way from China, just the right amount of my most favorite tea, lovingly kept in an earthen jar. After a few seconds of teasing with a silver spoon, I let it set until the prompting produces effect. A cloud of brownish gold floats up and dissolves in the water. I wait a few minutes. before I introduce other elements proven by time, culture, and practice to enhance the taste and produce the best experience. Finally, I bring to my lips the handsome cup I always use because it was made by a friend. And in that instant, the delight to my tongue awakens my taste buds to a soothing caress, sliding down to the throat, reaching the nostril, then continuing to delight all the senses. I take full responsibility for that perfect cup of tea. As a matter of fact, for all of my creation, they are very good. That's when the mischievous angel materializes out of my breath like Aladdin from the lamp. It sings and dances in front of me, teases me, gives me the direction on how to dream my day as the dreamer of all dreams within dreams. Instruction for a week without goal, no opinion, no decision. I need do nothing. It merges all senses into one, shutters all mirrors of identity, and points to the gateless gate as myself dissolve into darkness within darkness, the pregnant emptiness. This is the gateway to all understanding and tells me no one can pass through the gateless gate. So be no one. This one is a little pretty recent too. It's called Crumbs of Revelation. It's about my writing, making fun of my writing poetry. When a thunderbolt of revelation hits me like a ton of bricks, I feel so enlightened that words spark out of me like fireworks in myriads of colors and shapes, ondulation, convolution, ripples, intricacies, flutters, and waves. I put those down in a hurry, in the belief that it could be food for many. A little time passes. When I think it is the moment to put those words out there and have been heard, I look at the page and come to a realization that hits me like a thunderbolt of revelation. I thought I was offering a pie to share with everyone, when there were really only crumbs on the table, odd picking for anyone to try to get nourishment. A little more time passes, and the revelation comes to me. Poetry and writing belongs to all of us. My crumbs are only meant to inspire, to activate in everyone the longing to create, the desire to bake a pie. It's only when I enter in relationship with my inner silence that my true voice can be heard. Oh, this one is two little poems I wrote when a friend of mine was passing. When you are more awake than ever, they think you are sleeping. When they believe you have slowed down to nothing, you are most actively exploring. When you say you no longer want food or friends, you are nourishing yourself with more subtle essences. When you utter that you have been old so long, you are ready to start a new life. And the other one I wrote after she died was called Forgiving. So much perfection in a single blade of grass, ready to cast its seed into the wind. I sing. I receive so much love from the field of grasses in which I lay my body down. I write. I witness such forgiveness in the shadows cast by slender stalks leaning into the wind. I forgive myself. The next one is a poem that I wrote to my son. We took a walk. There's a little orchid in a red. It's called the redwood orchids, among many of them, also calypso orchid. It lives. It's in symbiotic relationship with a redwood, so it's always at the foot of a redwood, and they are very rare. And I have to see them every year, or I don't feel that my year is complete. So my son took me on a walk where he knew there were quite a few. And so it was a poem to him. I'll meet you at the edge of time, where your spaciousness and mine come together, at the heart of the tiny, wide-eyed orchid, looking upon the world with innocence and purring with the contentment of an open heart, at the foot of the big redwood. As we sit in our silence, the small flower lover of the giant receives our beingness and offers us our true self. Redwood needles carpet our steps with tenderness as you guide us on the fairy slippers trail that leads to our inspired self, a place of unity, the all in relation to all. Without relationship, nothing exists. In relationship, there is everything. And the tiny orchid with the many names sprinkles the forest floor with the love notes of spring. Okay, this one is, it's also about writing. That was a while back, but let's see, about 12, 15 years ago. It's called Possessed by Mohammed. The muse didn't wrestle me down on a street corner or on the threshold of a forest to insufflate poetry into me, to force feed me that inspired prophetic breath. The wind of healing that whispers in the chosen's ear and orders the mouth to recite didn't blow on me. I wasn't taken down like Mohammed by the angel who crushed his chest under its enormous weight, split it open to tear out his heart and purified it with heavenly waters. No, the muse didn't possess me, didn't command me like Mohammed to deliver the truth. To me, she's more like a nag who will not give me any peace until I put pen to paper in the shade of an apple tree, maybe, or on the porch of an old schoolhouse by the orchard where blackbird cackle and hermit thrushes serenade. She takes me to follow with my pen the subtle currents of wind, pushing shadows into world of desire, stringing memories like pearls around the morning's neck. She directs me to catch a radiance not to be missed, but forever escaping description. She insists that I must. The mind resists the supreme effort of flying with the wind. Birds twitter, amazed as it's resistant. To them, flying is second nature. They often wonder why humans stay so close to the ground. My eyes follow the play of light of the fruit ripening on the branch, discovering a jay ready to carp it down. But when I consult the sky, what does the sky tell me? Recite. That muse won't let go until I find the right word, the right phrase that will embrace the whole story of poets and prophets and singers and healers of the past into a single breath of lavender and rosemary. Like Mohammed, I submit. And the next one is called, so then it's further back. I was going back into my childhood at that time. So a lot of them are from childhood. This one is called Sunday Promenade. In those days, the Parisian pavement had stars in it, like celestial twinkling beneath my feet. I rearranged them into constellation of my creation, lagging behind the grown-ups until the clacking of high heels, the chatter of crinkled crepe and chiffon, and the scented message trailing behind my mother and her friends put me back on track. Abandoning my world information, I'd run past the women to join the powerful men in suits, walking ahead of them, having dutifully separated their body from their head with dark silk ties. They talked business, sports, and politics, all matters that counted. Gently slipping my hand into my father's, I pulled him away from his companions and back towards my mother, chatting away, hoping to connect with her hand before he became aware of what I was doing. And there I remained, a foot up in the air, hesitant to take the next step and lose the precarious balance I had not yet achieved, holding to this precious moment, suspended like breath. And the next one, it's called, it's also about childhood perception then. Insect absorption. She remembers that as a child, when she came across curious markings on pebbles or encountered those lustful insects with iridescent armor drilling into the heart of the flower, she cried. That was much emotion for one day, probably enough for 1 week, maybe even for her entire life. She was not sure about that, but she was glad to have so much time to find out. In that moment, she knew the budding within the wounded flowers, the mysterious tongue it used when questioning the earth about its journey. She knew that within the question lay the answer. She knew that the outrageous display of petals called the bug to its transformation. And through the passage, the absorbed insect became the flower's untold name. Her own name, she remembers. And the next one is called The Embroiderer, and I had read it earlier. It's about my Aunt Rosine, who was she did a lot of sewing and embroidering, but it's also the place where the masculine and the feminine meet in the silence of union. So it's called The Embroiderer. The house hides in the back of the garden. No voice comes from it. The village has moved to the fields. Dishes are quiet. Not a cork is popping. It is a hot house. The sun beats the flagstone to distraction as they surrender their inscrutable density, rising in hieroglyphic waves. Nothing is away to excite the barking of chained dog lying in the dust behind the barn. Nothing to entice the prostrated hands from out of the shade and into the farmyard. The curtains are drawn, shutters close. Nothing indicates whether the house is lived in except the suspicion of a shape sitting dark inside on the threshold of light. Look closer. It's a woman. She embroiders. On the table next to her, a vase holds one white lily. She stirred the cool shade of the house into summer's immensity, like a frail vessel on a troubled ocean, sewing truth with little stitches, big stitches. She embroiders this expert stitcher of life, weaving complicated filigree into the daily routine, linking each thing to the next. Safe inside, her lover swim in the sleep of oblivion. She says nothing, instead insists on being quiet about a thing that is only revealed when man's hustle and bustle is appear. He is a loudmouth, the story, the noise, he has the bright feathers, but she is the vessel on which he can explore the big water. The bridge allowing him to cross safely to the other side and come back. A stitch at a time, she secures their union to each other and to the earth. Sitting in a house at the edge of light, a woman embroiders. She has no use for idle gossip, political games, boastful display. Her house hides in the back of the garden. No sound comes from it. It has only known solitude or intimacy. This house is ours when we are ready. I have a few short ones more, and then I'll be finished. This one is How to Lie Down and Die. And death always inspires poem, I think. And when a friend dies, usually a poem comes to me. So yes, it's called To Lie Down and Die. Yes, she says, yes. It is alone by a rushing river, held tight between twisted roots, on mossy ground speckled with blue flowers, that I will lie down and die. Yes, she says, yes, I will be alone, alone with my cancer teacher. Solitude leaves no choice but to surrender. And suddenly, every woman, every man in the world will stream down, stop by my side, offering arms and hands, legs and voice to me to use as I may. And my fingers will see, and my voice will clear a straight path, and each of my movements will reach to the end of time. And the love that is the world will wrap me round. Yes, she says, yes, alone, she says, it is an act of trust. The next one is, it's actually the last. It's a poem that I have. It's very old. It says 1975. It was when my husband and I moved from Colorado to the coast, to the Mendocino Coast, and we lived into a little hamlet called Campchi, and in a very primitive setup. This poem is called Are You Sure It's Fall, to Charles. I crumple in my hand the wrinkled faces of crackling leaves as their lace turns to wings. I fly, dragonfly, as kites above the stream. As we enter another season, are the songs of summer all lies and illusions? In spite of the weather, forget about season, answers the river, and the rope swing entices our bodies into the icy jar of winter. Didn't you remember to decipher the messages of midsummer? Asked the salamander. Only when they are digested will you accept being reshaped into a true self. Is the sweet acrid smell just autumn decay? Is the whisper of water just time passing, or will it carry my love to him? Drops of golden sweat fall from his chest and reflect my image out of chaos. His chainsaw growls as he orders winter into his truck. It measures in cords. Sweat and resin stick to our skin. We are loading the truck. It makes us companion companionable in everything. So we grow our coat of splinters, and driving down the road, we talk ourselves into the fall of our people. So that's it. I think that's enough. So I know that with poetry is better less than more, because it becomes very hard to hear. Although, you can not hear it and enter into a trance, and that's fine too. You get what you need, right?
Thank you. Thank you. So we now move to the second part of our ZoomMuse presentation, where we're able to interact with Riantee. And I ask that you simply raise your hand, and I'll try and get to you in turn, and you can unmute yourself. So how does that sound, folks? Does anybody want to start? Just sort of wave. I see Lydia there. Lydia, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. I have not had the pleasure of meeting you before or hearing your poetry. So I'm really enjoying the wonderful descriptive powers you have. And I loved what you said about love notes of spring. I just thought that was lovely. Thank you for that. I'm wondering if you, in your act of creation, write the poem first in French in your mind and then translate, or you write directly in English?
No, I do write directly in English at that point. As a matter of fact, I feel nearly that English is more intimate a language for me now than French. And what I used to have my poem come in French and then sort of made it in English, but now they come in English. And when I want to translate them in French, it's actually not easy. I have lost a little bit of the spontaneity with the French, but when I am in France, when I go back to France, I haven't been back for about 4 years, but when I do go back, I immediately start writing in French. I mean, within a week, that's what comes, it comes in French. So it's interesting. I have in between those two languages, one leg in one and one leg in another. And maybe I am, I'm not, it's interesting. No, I'm just thinking maybe I am, because there are two, I am not totally fluent in either. But then I feel very fluent. So I don't know. It's an interesting phenomenon to have two, and some people in Sub would have 5 or 6, or but I think at that point you just juggle, easily. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Who's next? Somebody else out there? Cecilia Wadi, would you like to unmute yourself, please?
Yes, I have. Thank you. Good morning from Canada. Oh, from the east, from the west. I have a line that I don't know if I remembered properly, Riantee.
Yeah.
And it is sitting in her garden at the edge of life. Is that what you wrote?
At the edge. I like that. I may change it, but it was at the edge of light.
Lighc.
Yeah.
Oh,
but
okay.
I like your rendering, at the edge of life. It could be changed.
Well, that's
because
what I heard. and it's often how I feel these days. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. I put it in the chat to you because I wasn't sure if I heard it properly. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I may change that line or add it. I like it.
Aulani, go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
I don't have a question, but I wanted to comment on the poem about smoke, because when I was watching my grandmother die, she did those hand gestures that sometimes people do at the end
Yeah.
of their life. And I remember saying to her, "Oh, Mimi, you go out with the smoke." And she'd been in a trance for days doing this, and she stopped and she went, "Exactly." And then she went. So it brought back such a wonderful memory to me, and I could smell the smoke. It was so, yeah, thank you.
Me and your grandma smoking together.
Yeah, she was following the smoke out of her life.
Out of their life, yeah.
Yes,
Going
yes,
up in smoke together.
she was, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Would anybody else like to say something? Okay, I'll take the opportunity. Hi, Riantee. I'm enchanted by your words. There's like a sense of magic and wonder that reminds me of childhood. I wish I carried it with me like I sense that you do. I mean, to imagine a world where flowers can talk, or a blade of grass carries a message, or a dragonfly flies above the stream and captures your, what a dramatic picture, or a river answers your questions. um, but yeah, and as with Susilawati, the line that in the Embroiderer, stitching the world together, and in a house at the edge of, I heard life as well, or thought I did.
That's great. Yeah, I think it's a better line.
Yeah,
because it's more, yeah.
And the idea, the symbolism of the home or the house seemed to carry a lot of significance where you used it in your poetry. And,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was a magical reading. Do you feel that you have a big, what some people would call an inner child?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Every time I go out, we are very lucky. I mean, I bless every day the fact that we live, a lot of some of my friends who are listening right now, we all together, we bless the fact that we are living in this place. You just have to step out and the magic starts. We were talking in our group yesterday about that, like everything out there broadcast first love, so that nothing can go wrong. The love is the first broadcast, the first wave, and then behind that, it's all magic, and all you have to do is step out and receive. You have to nothing to do. As a matter of fact, it's better if you do nothing, and you just receive. You are a receptor, and it gives you, and it answers whatever, everything. When you give attention to something, it becomes conscious. And that's another thing we are talking about, right, Roz and Victoria? Anytime you give your attention to anything, it can be an object, a plant, a person, they become conscious, or more conscious in some case, when like humans, us human are a little dense, so it's always a little harder. But so that's what, in answer to the magic, is like, it's given right here, right now. And I think I am often wondering, if I lived in a city, it would be very hard for me to live in a city at this point. But if I did, I could probably make my little world with nature. I remember when I was a child, my street, of course, was a small street and it was paved, but there was hardly any car. It was after the war, so we could, as kids, we could play right in the middle of the street. We could. There was one car every 2-3 hours at the most. Anyway, but there were a couple of trees that had been planted in the pavement, and then in the morning they would let out the what you call in the gutter, the rushing water, in the gutter, to clean, I guess, because there would be a sweeper that would sweep all the trash, and then that would be swept by down to the gutter by rushing water that would be let out. So there was this water rushing, and that one tree. And when I would I would go to my violin lesson, just down the street. And when I would get to that tree, that was it. The magic started. I mean, like, that was it. I was transported. I was in the country. The birds were singing, the flowers were, I was into nature, into big nature, just with that one tree and that little trickle of water. So I guess you can create it anywhere you are, anywhere, even in your one room. Maybe you make a little corner, you have a few plants. I think plants really help because they are so giving and so giving, forgiving. Anyway, enough. Anybody else has any other question?
Thank you.
Roz. I see Roz.
Where is Roz?
There. Hi, everybody. I was just so taken with your descriptions, and you paint such an amazing picture of your life. And when you were talking about the glitter, the sparkle of the pavement, it brought back me growing up in a big city in Chicago, and just you and your father and their businessmen talking, and you were a child behind them. And I thought, oh, I could write too.
Exactly.
I could explain, what I grew up with and all the beauty, even in the city, how it was.
Yeah.
And it just sparked me to hear your words, for me to be more creative about my memories, not just with art, but with words as well. So thank you. And all your descriptions of your friends who have passed and the dying process was so moving. It just amazes me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roz. Well, did you have sparkle in the pavement in Chicago? Yeah, those little, I don't know what it, mica or something.
Granite. I think it's granite.
Granite. And there was those little, I think, little spots of something that sparkled more than the rest,
Right.
But as for what you were saying is exactly what that poem was about, is like poetry is only to inspire in you the desire to write, the desire to put words into what you are feeling, the desire to bake a pie.
Yes.
That's what the poem was about.
Yeah. Well, you've accomplished that in me. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Roz.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see, who else do we have here?
Aulani again? Aulani, you want to talk?
Yeah. What really struck me is that having lived by your side as one of the people that's lived by your side for a period of time, how you live the poem. Like the poem is you.
I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah, it is you. It is your life. We've all drunk from those teacups and walked by the river, and it's it made me kind of go back and see all the beauty that was around us and the love all the time, whether we were conscious of it or not. We were in the midst of it and being fed by it and receiving it on some level. And I'm so grateful to you for finding the words to capture what is fleeting and eternal at the same time, and so yummy. So just delicious.
Thank you. Thank you. And the poem is me, the poem is you. I am you. We are all each other, So it is all of us. That's why when you receive it, it's you. You have, those words are yours. That's how I feel. I mean, it's like, yeah. When words are true to you, they are yours, no matter where they come from.
Wow.
Thank you, Aulani. Now, Halima Polk, did you want to say something?
I just wanted, I didn't catch the whole reading because of some computer glitches, but I just love the way you read, and I love the texture of your poems, meaning that these little details that you're observing, which, you know, are details that surround all of our lives, but we don't, I speak for myself, I don't really see them, you know, and you sort of inspire me to take another look. The other thing I wanted to observe was, I think because of the your French, you know, French is your first language, and then the English is now your first language. But I think the combination of the two makes something very lovely in your poetry.
Uh-huh.
I mean, the rhythms of it and the way it sounds is a little bit different than it would sound just by an English speaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, I have been told, I am not totally aware of that, but I have been told that before, that it's because of the French that my English sounds the way it does, you know.
But I
And
think there's something in the rhythm of it, in the
the
rhythm of the
rhythm.
words that
Yeah,
yeah,
of course.
the rhythm.
Because-
I think that is like very interesting because you know, you could be Chinese English, and I'm not sure it would have the same kind of captivating rhythm.
Right, right. Yeah, no, I know what you mean. And probably because of being, you know, my mother's tongue is French, definitely. I didn't
Right.
read French until I was already 21. So my rhythm is probably still more French than English in some ways, you know. And the
Yeah.
way I hear things, the way they move my body, you know, as I hear the rhythm, I think it's a little bit different. That's right. It's interesting. Thank you.
Very, very, very beautiful, and thank you so much, because I really enjoyed what little I heard. It was great.
Well,
Thank
it
you.
will be on YouTube, I think, right? Yeah.
That's right, Riantee. We'll be posting it on YouTube. Hi there. You want to unmute yourself? Veronique Danielle?
Veronique Daniel is my niece from Switzerland.
Yeah, but this is not Véronique Daniel. This is Luke here.
Oh,
Okay.
c'est mon neveu alors.
Hello,
My
everyone.
nephew.
Riantee, just a question. You were talking about languages, and I was wondering about Italian. How do you get with Italian? Because in fact, I mean, your parents were, I mean, maybe this is your
Yeah.
first language because you heard Italian when you were in your childhood. So I don't know.
That's right. That's right, because my parents actually, I was born and raised in France. My parents were from Italy. So they spoke to each other in Italian all my early childhood. And then I don't know why, at one point they switched. I guess their French was getting, they were more fluent, you know. It's like when a language is always around you, you end up feeling more connected to that language. So I think like it must have been when I was 12 or 13, they started talking French to each other. But before that, they talked Italian. So I am sure that's another influence of rhythm, because I know that rhythm. My Italian is not that great because it's like I speak the Italian of a child. You know, I stopped going to Italy when my parents would send me to my family in Italy until I was about 13 every summer. But it was, you know, the language of the farm and the child, because my relatives were all farmers. So anyway, so it was very limited, but I still, when I go back to Italy, I can start speaking. And probably that rhythm is in there too. I love the rhythm of Italian. You know, it makes me swoon. Yeah, thank you for noticing. Yeah, for reminding me of that part of it all. It's true. Thanks a lot.
I really hear that. I really hear that. The Italian more than the French rhythm.
Good. I like that.
Would
Yeah.
anybody else like to offer a comment? or ask a question. Rahana Lang, please unmute yourself.
Hi, Riantee.
Hi, baby.
Thank you for your poetry. I just wanted to say hello and how I remember the many good times we had when I used to visit in California.
I know.
Are there many members of your little group now? Do you have more people there?
They're all dead.
Oh
They
dear.
all died. They all the member, 3 within months last, not this winter, but the winter before.
Yes.
1 year ago. So no, there is no more Subud members. It's just me. Okay, Francie, we want to hear you.
Riantee, it's such a wonderful experience. It just took me beyond words, actually. You know, your precious words, so well chosen, just go right in that rhythm carried me into an experiential thing. And it was beyond words. It was just really beyond words and very magical. And I just felt like I was riding the whole experience with you, and so appreciate your depth and your ability to carry us all the way you do. I love you dearly.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you.
Yeah, I am so glad you said that, because if it can give you the experience,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
on your own experience, that's all what poetry is about, really.
Yeah.
Is putting it out there. You catch it. It's like the currents, it's like the broadcasting from this tree or that tree. You catch it or not, and it's okay. But when a lot of people catch it, I feel so blessed,
Yeah.
to
Well, it's like riding that current, that rhythm
That's
into
right.
some other place that I was with you. You know, I was traveling with you through all of those amazing words of precious life, and just an exquisite experience. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So we ride the current of love together.
Absolutamente.
Amen.
Thank you. So one more time around the screen here. Does anybody want to wave their hand and say something? No? Everybody's okay? Mika, unmute yourself.
Okay. Francie, you did all my hard work. I just want to say ditto for everything Francie said, because it was moving and it did create that kind of timeless shift into a presence, and to have words do that. So, and then you brought us together. I'm really enjoying this opportunity for all of us to share this experience. It's very delightful. And so I want to thank all whatever efforts anybody did on doing this to bring us together.
I wanted to tell you that often when I reread some poems, when I am going to have a reading like this, I think of your paintings, because I think they are experiential in the same way. Your painting.
Cool.
That's how I feel.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Yeah, they are incredible paintings.
Wow.
Thank you. Yeah,
you give us. Yeah.
We give each other. We give each other that experience of being together, riding the.
Yeah, I feel that on this Zoom experience, that we're all giving to each other in a beautiful way, even in our silence. It's
right.
palpable. Yeah.
I love you.
I love you too.
Before we give everybody a group hug here, is there anybody else who would like to say something? No? Oh, yes, there is. Victoria, unmute yourself. You've unmuted. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I have heard some of this poetry before, Riantee, and they mesmerized me at the first time, and I'm so happy to hear it again, and I would like to have it again. One time is just not enough because it's so rich. Every line is so rich. I could just dream with every line, with every feeling you provoke. And I'm looking forward to the YouTube version, and perhaps one day, you know, we just should print this into a book. And then
I will. I am
because-
just starting to think about it.
yeah,
I have some, I have some books of poetry, but they are ancient, like 70s, one in the 70s, one in the 80s, nothing new, you know.
yeah. So it's lovely again, Riantee. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
It
you,
it was a real treat, as Francis said. Yeah. Energetic journeys. Wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you. So Riantee,
Yes.
since this is your event, are there any parting words you'd like to leave with everybody?
My only parting words is my heart is so full. I feel like everybody who is here, I feel them, if whether I see them or not, but I can see everybody pretty much, I guess. But it doesn't matter. I feel like we are living an experience together, and that's all I want, really. That's all I need to feel for my heart. And now I will broadcast love to the universe, your love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
For being
Thank you so
support.
much for sharing your inspiration and your art. You've enriched us all. Here in Ottawa, Canada, it's the afternoon. I don't know where it is where you guys are, but certainly Luke's in Switzerland at sometime in the evening. So
yeah, Luke must be going to sleep by now, no? I don't know if he's still there.
Anyway,
not yet.
Anyway, thank you for attending Riantee's ZoomMuse poetry reading. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. It was wonderful. Thank you.